Hey everyone, it's Monday morning, and it actually is Monday morning. Yay! So, um, I wanted to talk today about stuff and things, which I guess is kind of normal for me. It's a new year. Happy New Year. The um the year is treating me pretty well so far. There have been some minor setbacks, but nothing major. I did not get the formatting done for the electronic version of my cookbook, and therefore I am leaving it at the low price of $14.99 until the electronic version comes out, at which point the price will go up to $19.99 and the electronic version will be priced appropriately. And it will be considerably lower, of course, than the physical copy. I do not have the cost of the final book yet as an electronic book, but I will let you guys know when it comes through. And so there's that. But the cookbook is still selling very well. People have been very interested. I got contacted by WMUR, which is our local television station. I have had calls in from radio personalities and from various people who are interested in my book. So it's been very, very gratifying. I've been getting news from the libraries and from people who want me to do author talks, and it's just been great. I've been getting the word out, and it feels wonderful. All of this leads, of course, to how I am dealing with the new year. And so my fantasy novel that I was working on for Nano it requires a lot more work. A lot more work. I'm not ready to put it out there. But I promised my co-author that I would begin work on my science fiction novel this month. And so that is what's going to be happening. I have been working on plotting, which is something that is, it's not a new skill in that I've done plotting before for when I was in school, but I haven't done plotting for my own fictional novels before, so this is new. But it's also very useful, especially when you're co-authoring something, because I'm not just writing for myself, I have to incorporate in the works that are done by my writing partner. And since some of my favorite books are done by co-authors, Elizabeth Ann Scarborough working with, oh my gosh, names escape me, Mists of Avalon author, holy cow, Mercedes Lackey, there we go. There's just so many awesome author pairs out there, and Mercedes Lackey is a little bit of an authorial slut. She'll work with anybody, and I love the finished products that they come out with. They're great, and so I'm very much looking forward to writing this story. And the general idea is my own. The plot arc is mine, and my co-author and I are working together to add in the science in appropriate ways. So, for instance, he looked at my beat sheet that I put together for my story and pointed out that I did not have the military ranks correct. Great. This is why I'm working with him. Because I don't know some of this stuff, and his grasp of hard science and math is much, much higher than my own. And so it's fantastic. So I have there's a thing called Beat the Cat, which is apparently a book which tells you how to plot out fiction. And I don't use it for, I don't use it for my vampire novels because I'm just working by myself. But with this one, I need a little bit more, I need more structure because it's necessary when you're working with another person. And I'm finding I'm actually kind of enjoying this because I was able to fix some problems before they became problems, because I could look at it and go, well, that's not going to work because X, Y, and Z. So the beat sheet starts with the opening image. And there are actually, how many pieces are there? Are 15, I think they call them cards, I can't remember, or 15 scenes that you start out with. And this is your basic premise of your novel. So the first one is the opening image. And it's the scene that sets the tone for your story, and it usually introduces the protagonist, your hero. My current sci-fi novel that I'm working on doesn't have a particular hero. It's a group of people working towards a goal, but that group is introduced and the problem is introduced. And so I have that kind of opening plan all figured out, and I've actually started writing some of that, excuse me, and getting it down on paper. The second part is the theme stated, which is a scene that sets up or teases the message or the essential truth of your story. And so this is kind of that underlying theme that you get. Romeo and Juliet, it's about love. In Merchant of Venice, it's about prejudice and that kind of thing. So you're looking for that theme that runs through the background of your entire story, and the basic premise. And so I have that, and I have the theme stated as both what it is, which is, what these things are happening, and how it both matches these endings and is the opposite of some things. So I have this kind of, the ending is like a parenthesis that goes around the beginning of the story. And doing the plotting allowed me to do that, so that when I go to write, I'm actually done. The third part is the setup, scenes that introduce the world and supporting characters and also hint at the changes to come. This is where I run into issues because it's hard for me to do it as a writer. I like to just sort of jump into the story and get going. So doing all this, planning stuff just drives me nuts. But it's really being helpful. And so, for instance, I had written originally that the science-y dudes and the military dudes were going to clash. And I had given examples of those clashes that I was going to write in later. And my co-author looked at it and went, no, that's not how it works when you have scientists working with the military. These are people who are well vetted. They've worked with military before. They have clashes, but they're more like this than like that. And so I was able to pick that up and actually go with it and fix it before I started writing. And this is really helpful for me in this particular thing. The fourth part is the catalyst or inciting incident. It's the surprise moment that turns the protagonist's world upside down and kicks off the main plot. And I have a very, very particular moment that this happens in my story, and it's not what you think it is. So the original idea, well, no, I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want anybody to steal my amazing story idea. Not that any of you would, but basically the story starts in a way and you think that's kind of the main story. And then there's a flip. And so that flip is that catalyst. And that catalyst is really important to the rest of the story and actually causes the rest of the story to happen. And the next part, number 5, is debate. Tension mounts. The protagonist ponders whether to undertake the journey and questions what's at stake. My characters have a lot of questions to answer about their lives and about who they are and why they are where they are and why they're working together as a team and how to incorporate outside people into their team without messing with the team dynamics. And so that's actually a way of dealing with it. The next part is number 6. It's break into Act 2. The protagonist chooses to take action. A journey into a new and strange experience begins. And that's actually a physical journey in my story. So that worked out rather well. And it moves into the B story, which is kind of the protagonist learns about the theme, usually with the aid of a mentor, friend, or love interest. And that doesn't work entirely in my story because of the way that it's set up. But the B story is a secondary storyline which could be removed without damaging the main story, but which adds to it in a consequential way. And it helps explain some things at the end, but again, isn't the main plot line. The eighth part is fun and games. The conflict kicks into high gear. Bad guys attack, lovers fight, mysteries deepen. It's the point when the thing happens. And in my outline, I don't actually have that figured out yet. Excuse me. Part of that is because of the way I write. When I write, and sometimes my characters don't do what I want them to do. And so what I have outlined is 3 or 4 different ways that the action could be happening. And it may be that I use one of those. It might be that I use all of them. They may become combined in interesting ways, or I may go with something completely different if the characters throw something at me. But I have ideas there to move the plot forward, and I know where I need to go. Number 9 is the midpoint. It's the second big turning point. They achieve some of their goals, and they fail at some of their goals. And so I have some very basic outlines about what things it is that I need them to succeed at and what things they can fail at. There are some things that are really important and some that aren't. And in order for this story to run well, I need my characters to have a big failure. It can't be all successes, and it can't be a minor failure. There has to be, in the immortal words of the Fifth Element, big bada boom. And so that's what I have in there. Number 10 is the bad guys close in. Troubles pile up after the midpoint, either from literal bad guys or the hero's flaws and doubts. In my story, this comes with things that the characters and the team learn about themselves and their home that disturb them and that cause them to question their own purpose. There may be actual bad guys involved, but they will be minor, not major. 11 is the crisis. All is lost. It's the opposite moment from the midpoint. A disaster makes the goal appear to be impossible. And so this is where I was talking about. I needed them to have some things which did not work. And here is kind of the follow through of that, where my characters reach a point where they fail. They've been tested to breaking, and they break. Welcome to humanity. We all do that. Yeah, they have to question some very major things about their perceptions of the world and their universe, which leads into number 12, which is the dark night of the soul. After the crisis is over, the hero hits rock bottom emotionally and things fall apart. And so, like in a Star Trek episode, this would be when, Captain Kirk is, has fought off the bad guys and had his shirt ripped off, and now he's in med bay and he's unconscious and they're trying to save him, right? Or he's fighting to. This is where you question yourself and your own. It's where your characters need to question their own motivations and why they are doing something. Why are they following through? Is what they are doing actually good? Or is it not? Is it going to further them, not just as individuals, not just as a team, but as a race, as humans, as as people. Number 13 is Break into Act 3. This is a Return of the Bee story. I have a particular, as I said, story arc that is going to go on in the background, which will be brought up at this point, and my characters, my team, will learn some really kind of interesting stuff, which causes them to doubt their own origins. Number 14 is the finale. The protagonist tries again, drawing on experience and understanding of the theme in the climactic sequence. I have a very definite idea about where my story is going with that. My characters are hesitant, cautious, maybe even overly cautious, but ready to move on. And then the final image is number 15. It's the flip side of the opening image, which was number 1. And it shows how the protagonist, or in this case, my team, and their world have changed. And so, yeah, that's that. There's a whole, this was so much planning involved in this, and it feels amazing. I'm able to work out some of the glitches in the storyline now, so that when I actually sit down to write, it will hopefully, knock on wood, will hopefully be a lot more smooth. Okay, so I'm at the 16-minute mark. I'm going to just kind of move along here. What are some of the things that I use in plotting? So I use the beat sheet because it seemed to be the most reasonable way to go about things, and I was pleased with that. I use a calendar, and just because I have to show it off. So this is a cute little desk calendar that I got from my boyfriend. Oh my God, it's adorable. It's a tiny little flip calendar, and it has like a little storage space in it, and it's got bunnies and bears and things, which I adore. And that helps me keep track of my days and my writing. I also got a notebook. This one is conveniently sized. You can see it's just about the size of my hand. The pen is attached. It has an elastic to keep it closed, and it has bookmarks. 2, not just 1. And that means that I can mark things in here. This stays with me all the time. So if I have an idea, I can jot it down immediately. And I find that really helpful, because sometimes I'll be out and about and I'll see something and it'll spark an idea and I'll just want to go with it. Yay! And away we go. So I have that. And then this is another one that I got for Christmas. And this one is just a plain book that is, it doesn't even have lined pages, but this is going to be someplace that I can chart things out, draw flow charts, sketch things, whatever I need to jot stuff down and make better choices as to how I want to lay things out. So that's where I'm at, and I'm really excited and happy about this. By next week, I should have some dates for you guys for talks I'll be doing for various libraries throughout New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts. The talks will be done via Zoom for the time being, so anybody's welcome to come to them, and I hope I'll see many of you there. If you have questions or you want to ask me stuff, please come and join in the chit chat. And yeah, so things are good. I love you guys. Have a great new year. Don't let the first Monday of 2021 get you down. It's a whole blank book. There's nothing written in it yet, and you can do what you want with it. Have a coffee. Go do some energy stuff. Make sure you eat well. Hydrate. Bye, guys. I'll see you next week.